is and why it happens.
It's a natural act when you are looking at the exterior world that you're projecting, but find no answer to some of the questions in the exterior reflection. You withdraw and go within to your source, to your connection to source, to search for certain answers, to gain new perspectives, to alter yourself, to change yourself, to emerge as a new person. That's a natural thing you can do. It's only when you determine that there's something wrong with doing that, something negative about it, something self-judgmental about doing that and withdrawing to go into that search for answers within yourself, that it becomes depression because you're defining it as something negative. But it's a natural act that allows you to discuss within yourself questions that allow you to find answers within yourself, to connect to things within yourself that you have connections to be more aware of those interconnections that can provide information for you to help you emerge as a new person, to change your perspective, to change your reality, to re-identify yourself, and then come back out into the external projection as a new being, as a new person, and to move forward in your life in that way. So don't judge it to be a negative thing to apparently withdraw for a while, to do that inner search. You will eventually emerge as a new person, and it will guide you and allow you to move forward in a positive way. But if you judge it, if you think there's something wrong with you for doing it, then you can get into the idea of the reinforcing loop that allows you to experience it as depression, and then that makes it much more challenging to get out of because you think it's something that is wrong with you.
Sure, that's very helpful. This question has to do with what could be called karmic debt.
There's no such thing as karmic debt. The idea is that when you recognize that you may be out of balance and you do the actions necessary to bring yourself back into balance, you make the choices that you wish to make to allow yourself to be back into balance, back into alignment with your true vibration, then you have readjusted the idea of the karma. Karma, in its original meaning as a word, means action. So it's about taking the actions to realign yourself. There's no such thing as karmic debt in the way that this question is being asked.
So the idea that someone would come back to Earth with the intention of balancing out karmic negative behavior that they had, or ancestral negative behavior, is this real at all?
Not in the way that it is typically meant, no. You can recognize that there may be imbalance in a society, and you can choose to join that society to aid and assist in potentially balancing it out. But that doesn't mean you have incurred karmic debt. It simply means you're making a choice to be of service to humanity in creating the opportunity for balancing out what has become unbalanced. People look at it linearly because they look at reincarnation linearly from a space-time perspective as if it has anything to do with something you did in a past life, but we have just explained that that's not actually what's happening. So making a connection to other lives, you can use that information and say, well, that was out of balance, and now I can use that information to learn a lesson to help balance what's going on, but you're doing that from the present. It's not that you've incurred debt. You're making a connection to use the information of unbalance to achieve balance, to be of service to humanity and allow it to move forward in a balanced way. So the idea of karmic debt is a very outdated, old-fashioned way of looking at something from a linear perspective, but that's not exactly mechanically what's actually happening. Since everything exists simultaneously, as a spirit, you're simply making a choice to be of service in a certain way that increases the probability of a society balancing itself.
So anything having to do with quote-unquote past lives is actually the person making a connection from the present to another version of them, their oversoul, or another being that's not part of their oversoul, for a specific purpose of receiving information that can be useful and relevant in the life at present. Is that correct?
Well said. Exactly so.
Great. So does everyone have to balance out their negative behavior when they're on Earth, or do they balance it out when they go through life review? How does the idea of fairness that humans perceive as being the best, and even other animals perceive fairness as something important, and then the idea that negative behavior doesn't always result in something bad happening to someone?
No, it doesn't, not in a physical lifetime, because that's temporary. But there is always the recognition in spirit of how to use that information to create new choices that have a higher probability of creating balance within the soul. So at some point, whether it's in the physical reality or not, the opportunity for balance is always given, is always available. Doesn't have to be done in the physical life. Ideally, it can be done that way, but it doesn't have to be, because you're eternal beings, infinite beings. You will always have another opportunity to balance things out. Always, if that's what you so desire.
That's great. What could be causing the frequent tears this individual is experiencing during cryptic meditations that you've given? They can't pinpoint any specific negative belief associated with the tears.
It doesn't have to be specific negative beliefs. It can just be the general release of things that have, shall we say, found a home within you during your lifetime, in your upbringing, and releasing all of those things, letting go of the things that in any way, shape, or form are no longer relevant for you. Remember, it's not always about the idea that things have to be negative to let go of them. It can simply be things are no longer relevant for you, and let them go as well. And those also still have chemical constituents within your body that must be washed from your system when you're willing to let them go. So the idea of getting in touch with that true vibration makes you feel like you have come home. And therefore that can allow a response of tears of joy to erupt from you, to wash out of you. The recognition that you are your true self, you have come home. That's the vibration of your home, your true self, your true being, your connection to source. And that can cause an emotional reaction that allows you to really begin to let go of anything that is not relevant for you, anything that is holding you back from being your pure self in your physical reality experience. And that can cause tears to flow. So it's all right.
Okay, and this person is asking the following question. As I've been applying the formula, letting go of beliefs that aren't mine and redefining the ones that are mine, I no longer feel the need to meditate as much because every morning I wake up already feeling connected, grounded, and in a heightened state of awareness. It just comes more naturally to me now without needing to ritually meditate. So their question is, how necessary is meditation? Do we really need to sit every day for however long to do it, as this person is mostly already living their highest joy and excitement?
No, it's not absolutely necessary if your life itself becomes a meditation, which is what you're describing. Now, there are times when you may experience a need for quiet reflection, to ponder something, but that's okay, and that can be the equivalent. But if your life is being lived according to the formula as fully as possible, then your entire life becomes a meditation.
And this person wants to become more aware of their negative beliefs that they're holding on to, that are not for the highest benefit and vibration for them.
All right. Well, the idea again is to have honest self-investigation and ask you, what is it that I benefit by holding on to this? Because you don't hold on to anything that you don't believe benefits you. You let go of anything immediately that you believe doesn't benefit you. So the question is, if you know that you are holding on to negative beliefs that don't benefit you, that can only be in your motivational mechanism that there's some belief making them appear more beneficial than the alternative. Find out what that belief is actually telling you and see that it isn't really making sense. It's just that you have a belief that the alternative, no matter how much you may intellectually know that it would benefit you, emotionally, psychologically, energetically, you think that something worse will happen if you move in that direction. And therefore you hold on to negative things because they are the, as you say, lesser of two evils. They are the more comfortable thing to hold on to because what you believe will happen if you move forward, if you change, you have deemed to be worse than where you are. So if you can find out that dichotomy, find out that difference, if you can discern that by asking the question, what am I getting out of this? What am I afraid might happen if I do move forward, if I do let this go? Then by having those questions and examining yourself with honesty, you can determine why it is you're still holding on to those negative beliefs, why you believe they still serve you to do so. Yes.
For this me. When I sleep, my spirit is having experiences.
Yes.
What specific job am I doing when I sleep? Do we have like themes when we sleep or jobs when we sleep?
You can. You may interact with spirit guides. You may be teaching other beings. You may be learning from other beings. You may be visiting different places, different dimensions. You may be checking in on parallel realities. You may be looking at the blueprint of your life and making slight adjustments. You could be doing many different things.
Okay, so we just do a lot when we sleep.
You are always busy.
Okay.
Every one of you.
Okay.
Remember, spirits never sleep. You sleep as a physical being to reconnect to the spirit realm, to recharge your battery. Remember, physical reality is a projection of consciousness. You kind of have to maintain it. One of the ways you know that physical reality isn't really real is that it deteriorates, and you have to maintain it. Because that which is real is never destroyed, never dissolves, never deteriorates. Physical reality deteriorates because you're maintaining it. It's an illusion. So you reconnect to spirit to recharge your battery and go back in and say, all right, I have enough energy to maintain this for another day.
Okay.
So you're very busy as a spirit because spirits never sleep because they don't need to.
Okay.
They are the battery. Of course, they're all connected to source, which is the great battery.
Okay, next question. I believe it to be true that I have hybrid children.
Yes.
As a child, I had numerous experiences when I was in my bedroom where I was terrified many times with horrible dreams, and I always felt like something was under my bed. Was there something under my bed? Was I part of the Gray's hybridization program?
Yes. Though they were not always under your bed, but you may have thought so.
So I was used that way. That was what was going on. That was why I was afraid, and that's why I do have hybrid children.
Because young children on your planet are not necessarily taught what's going on, that there are other things going on in your reality than you suppose, then you face it often with fear. Because it feels out of control because you don't know what's going on. You haven't been taught that this is happening. But you don't have to fear it. It's partly your agreement to aid and assist in the evolution of humanity.
When you came into my life 3 or 4 years ago, my dreams, the negative dreams, totally stopped. Am I still having gray experiences, or what's going on with that?
In a different way. It's gone into a different phase. The idea now is there's not that much of the idea of the extraction of DNA to create the hybrid children. It's more now the idea of helping them acclimate to eventually coming to live with you on Earth. So there are teaching moments now, interactions where you're helping them understand Earth society and helping them to understand how to acclimate in the future when they will come to live among you in different sanctuaries at first and then eventually blend among you in the years to come.
Okay, I know it doesn't matter what number because you say that our DNA is very spread out, but I was getting the number 22. Does that mean anything, 22 kids? For me?
What are you asking?
Do I have more? I had gotten a number that I had 22 hybrids. Does it really matter?
It's arbitrary.
Okay.
Because it depends on the amount of DNA in any hybrid. A lot of DNA is spread among thousands of hybrids. But the degree, the percentage of your DNA that may be in a certain amount of hybrids often fluctuates between 15 to 17 to 23 or so of being above 15 to 20%.
Thank you so much. When I had a dream the other night with you, I've had multiple dreams with you, but this one I'm wondering if you or your people were in. There was a clear cylinder that you were handing to me, and it had mechanics going on inside it, and I couldn't move my limbs at that time. Was that you or just my higher self? Or
Not us, but you were using us as a way of helping you to relate to that experience.
Okay.
But we will go no further with that.
Okay, one more, I think. The sacred circuitry, I love those, and you said we would be getting more sacred circuitry.
Yes.
Is that going to come soon?
Soon is relative.
Okay. The energy in storms.
It
what
will
does
come in perfect timing.
Okay. What's the energy in storms? Because I was so frightened when I was little about storms. Freaked me out.
It is your own energy that you are afraid of.
Oh.